off with the Strictly story with regards to Zara McDermott. She speaks out amid the Strictly scandal. In the last hour, she's actually come out. She's spoken out after former Strictly partner Graziano was axed from this year's Strictly lineup after a suspected allegation. Not quite sure what that allegation is about, but she has come out and she says, when I was invited to be a contestant on the show, to me, it was a childhood dream come true. However, my experience inside the training room was very different. Reports have been made about my treatment on the show, and there were witnesses to some events, as well as videos of particular incidences which are incredibly distressing to watch. I've wrestled with the fear of opening up. I was scared about public backlash. I was scared about my future. I was scared about victim shaming. The culture within society makes it difficult for people to speak up. I would like to thank the BBC and BBC Studios for their swift action and incredibly high level of support. I mean, what the BBC are now actually discussing is to have chaperones in the training room now, which I actually personally think is a good idea.
Would you have wanted a chaperone, though, when you did it?
Obviously not.
No?
No, I don't want a chaperone.
Do you know what I mean?
You just want to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
But to be fair, there was always people present because there was always a camera. Well, There wasn't always, so probably out of the 5 days training a week, you'd probably have cameras at the studio with you. Maybe 3 of those days.
You felt safe and secure when you...
Yeah, absolutely. I had Ali Ash and he made me feel safe and secure. He was a brilliant teacher. I loved working with him. I never had any issues whatsoever. But there was always people around filming the rehearsals and stuff like that. There was probably about 2 days a week where I was alone with just me and Ali Ash rehearsing. But I personally wouldn't mind to have a chaperone if it's going to safeguard people. What do you think?
Well, I think in this particular scenario, a chaperone, I think, would be helpful. And we all have scenarios in our everyday lives when we have chaperones. For example, when we go to the doctors and if we're going to have an examination, which might be quite personal or intimate, they allow you the opportunity to have a chaperone present. I know as a woman, I've opted for that many times. But I think there's this story, and I think this will probably carry on kind of unravelling over the coming weeks and months. But I think there's a much broader story about whether when you are in a position in public life, and that can be in TV or it can be in politics, it can be in big companies. What is the space to be able to whistleblow, which is exactly what this is, which is the opportunity to say not everything is as it seems. And, you know, does the space exist within organisations to be able to do that? But I think more importantly, you know, what is the kind of climate within society where you're not victim shamed and you don't feel like you're part of the out crew now and you don't belong and you're not treated, you know, in a kind of welcoming way. And that happens in politics. I mean, this kind of group behaviour where you feel like you can't suddenly speak out when you've heard things and seen things which you think this isn't quite right. And this is another situation where big TV show where people feel like they didn't have the space to be able to immediately say, this is not on.
Tom, what's your thoughts on it?
This is the BBC's most successful export and product ever. I mean, it is in however many different countries around the world. It is an incredibly successful piece of television for them. And it would seem, unfortunately, that the shine is rather coming off it a bit. And look, chaperones may be very helpful. They may be, in the end, necessary. But it does say something that people can't apparently behave themselves in the professional manner in which one would expect without the presence of a chaperone there. That feels like the gloss is somewhat coming off. And I have to say, I do think that the bravery of Zara and Amanda Abbington, who has been talking about this for some time, sometimes at her own personal cost, has been really important in getting what they say is the truth out there. Because, as Saida says, too many institutions for too long in too many ways have sought to, for the sake of their own reputation, protect themselves, even when the truth is being laid out by people who have experienced poor behaviour or unprofessional behaviour. And I think to some extent that may well be happening now.
Do you think, though, Tom and Saida, is it not difficult to police individual cases rather than, like, having worked on a huge entertainment show where the duty of care was sacrosanct, there's always going to be individual cases that fall through the cracks rather than something systemic. So does that require wholesale change or does that require more due diligence or more setting parameters before you even start filming?
I think there are two parts to this. There are those people who take part in reality shows, and we have to look at the kind of whole duty of care that you put in around those people. And that will be so different depending on who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with very young contestants as opposed to somebody who's been in showbiz for a very long time, somebody who's coming to it new, somebody who understands the climate that they're about to join. So I think that's one aspect of it. But the second aspect of it is, if you are people who are employed by that reality TV show, you know, if you're the presenter, if you're the dancers, if you're the part of the kind of front-facing team, then I think you should kind of know what the rules are. This is your workplace, right? This is not a reality TV show that you've joined. You're not a contestant. You're the professional involved in this.
The thing is, there's an ongoing... I mean, we say it all the time about the Strictly curse, and it's kind of laughed upon and stuff like that. But I think there needs to probably be a change with regards to that, and maybe them getting together with certain people who go on Strictly. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that needs to kind of stop. That's the whole Strictly curse situation. What do you think, Tom?
I don't understand why there's such an apparent need to win. I mean, you go on it to learn a few dance moves and perform in front of the country in the best possible way that you can, and you subject yourself to whether or not they're going to vote for you at the end of the day. The suggestion seems to be that there was so much poor behaviour, bullying and shouting and what have you. And you just wonder why. I mean, it's a TV show for people's entertainment. It's not actually... Is it a very serious dance competition in which the winners win because they do the best dance? They do the best dance to the best of their ability. I don't see where the stress of it comes from beyond more than having to dance in front of the country.
Yeah, let me check that back at both of you. And inexcusable behaviour is exactly that. It's inexcusable. But, Tom, in a journalist room, you want to be the best you can possibly be. You want to break the story first. Saida, in the world of politics, you want to be the best possible politician you can be. Sometimes that might not bring out the best in either of you, right? There must have been days in both your careers where you've gone, I could have handled that situation differently. Now, that is a world away from what's being accused of here. But it lends itself to a competitive nature, surely.
Yeah, it does. But I also think that, you know, that's why we have all sorts of rules when we're in office. You have the ministerial code of conduct, you have parliamentary standards, you have a whole series of... And most places have professional bodies that they are accountable to, because it's not a free-for-all. And yes, you'll always have bad apples and the odd bad experience. But I think what we're seeing now at the BBC, and I think there's a series of stories that are now starting to come to light, and I think more will probably come to light when people... You see, what happens in a situation like this is once the kind of veneer cracks, then other people feel the confidence to be able to say, I can now talk about this.
Step forward.
So it was like the Me Too movement. You know, it was like once somebody had spoken about what was going on in Hollywood, everybody else felt they could then say. So I think that when you start to see that pattern, I think it might sadly emerge that there was a much bigger issue at stake.
So do you think the shine of Strictly could be wiped off?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think this could be, as Saida suggests, if there's more to come, this could be a real serious problem for the show to keep creating the kind of family-friendly, fun environment that it sells itself as being. And I think it means even more so that those who do put their head above the parapet first in making the allegations, in saying what they say went wrong, people like Amanda Abbington and Zara do deserve praise for saying it, because otherwise... the allegations don't make it out there, the truth is never spoken, and there's a degree to which there's a hush-up or a cover-up and the institution just sort of rolls on. So I think it's really important. And these are, as you say, Dermot, rightly, individual allegations that need to be tested, that need to be evidence-based, and that's the right thing to do. But it's really hard to say something's going wrong if it's going to result in possible damage to the reputation of, in this case, a very big and successful television programme. It's very, very difficult. So I give props to Zara and to Amanda. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Hi, everyone. Just wanted to say thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. Now, listen, we upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.